Alrighty, folks, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode. It's been a long time since I put out a new video. Just got a lot of hectic stuff going on in life right now. So coming at you today with a quick video on what is fear and how to use this properly. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and just the way this lady explained fear made me want to make a video about it, because it was the one thing that stuck out in the whole podcast. It was one of my Catholic podcasts, and I think the lady was discussing about how she went from Islam or being a Muslim to being Catholic. I also have a video on what it means to fear God. Maybe I'll tie that in at the end. But just right now, we're just going to go with what is fear and using it properly for motivation. And what she discussed was the two types of fear. And this is kind of something that we have in that spiritual realm and even in your own families, right? Because the main type of fear people have is, the fear of that person in general, right? Like if you punish your dog or you punish your child because of something they've done wrong, right? Maybe you spank them. Next thing you know, they're only doing things because the fear of getting hit, right? The fear of getting spanked, the fear of whatever the consequence is for the negative action that they've taken part in, right? And that's usually how fear is always going to start in a certain extent. And I think that's what people feel when they discuss God in general, right? The fear of not going to heaven, right? That's that first type of fear. And I wish I would have listened to that podcast before I started this video, because she discussed the technical term for this fear, the two types of fear. I can't remember what it was, but that's that first fear, right? The fear of what's going to happen. I'm going to get hit. And that's kind of my anger people here on this one, kind of like that pro-life, pro-choice movement, right? A lot of the pro-lifers will say, well, abortion is just the escape of that consequence, right? So once we eliminate that consequence, now we're free just to act foolish and do whatever we want and take an action that can harm others just to eliminate the consequences that we've acquired during that activity. So now the fear we want to use, and this is the fear that, they say will add to spiritual growth in life as well. This might be a type of fear that can help you in the gym, in your fitness journey, in your nutritional journey, when you start to struggle and fall back, which I've done myself as well. And it's that fear of disappointment, of disappointing someone, right? Because sometimes we've got to understand that when it comes to achieving a goal, it's either that goal is based on I want to do this, or sometimes you want to achieve those goals to please someone around you, right? Maybe you don't really want to go to college, but you're only going to go to college because your mother wants you to, and you'll be the first one to ever go to college in your family. So it's that fear of failing your parents and just failure in general of your own family, of not reaching that next successful step in some people's life. Now, I'm not saying college is bad or good. Just remember, you always want to have a degree in something that is going to add value to you in many different ways, right? I listen to Dave Ramsey a lot as well. So like he said, the downfall is he always tries to joke around and say you're out there getting a degree in left-handed puppetry or polka dancing, right? But in reality, it's something of understanding that, yes, you might like history, but once you go in and get a master's in history, a PhD in history, unfortunately, any PhD or master's is going to cost a lot of money. And to be able to get a job in that field, you have a very narrow entry point, right? You either have to be literally a history teacher, and that's about all you got. I mean, maybe there's a couple other things, I'm not sure. But it's that fear of not wanting to disappoint someone. And that's what we need to understand. And when you have that fear, that's the fear that's hopefully going to motivate you to get out and do something, right? You have kids now, so your fear is, if I don't get in shape, I'm not going to live long enough to see them. Now, I've discussed as well, you also need that internal motivation of I want to be healthier, this and that. But sometimes you still need that fear of not wanting to disappoint those around you. Sometimes it comes down to, of course, the ultimate goal should be not wanting to disappoint God, but unfortunately, you need to know the path that God wants and has for you. But once again, those are the two fears: fears of the consequence of being hit, of what's going to happen to me, or the fear of disappointing someone in your life. But once again, you've always got to, truly sit there and think about this path that you're on every once in a while and make sure you're still on that right path. Just because you believe that you are does not mean that you are. Because sometimes we are blinded by our own emotions, our feelings, our perspectives of the world, and we can easily get off track. It's that same concept of, if you're on track from here to the moon, right? The easiest way to get there is a straight line. Unfortunately, it might not seem like much starting now, but if you're only off by 10 feet now, by the time you get to the moon, it's so far away, you're going to be miles off, right? So it's making sure that we check in with ourselves, with God, whatever you want to call it, every once in a while to make sure that you are on that right path. You should probably be doing that daily to confirm that you are going in the right direction that is leading you to whatever you believe is success in life. So once again, I hope this helps. Don't forget to follow on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. The podcast is out there. Subscribe to this channel. Share and like these videos.